All right, listen, Juan Pablo, we're protecting a 1-0 lead. We need you to be calm, composed. I don't want to see anything rash from you. What are you doing? Why have you... There wasn't even anyone there to tackle. Oh, rash. I thought you said flack, like as in because she was violent, so I thought I would be... They barely even rhyme. What the f*** are you talking about? Week this football to welcome and hello. You are watching Football This Week, and of course this is the series where I bring you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer in the world of social media. Now straight off the bat, I've got to bring you an apology because there wasn't one of these last week. I mean, the reason for that is because it was Christmas. I was at home. I'm not gonna make an FTW on Christmas Day, lads. It can't happen. But I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate with your family and friends. But forget about the festivities. There's another gift that just keeps on giving, and it's called VAR. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a new segment that I like to call the VAR Show. And this is for those of you that love the greatest invention and the greatest addition to the game of football. I mean, have you ever seen lines so beautifully inside of one another? Oh, no. Absolute shock horror. VAR is the talking point again. There's been more controversial decisions over this festive period than Lynx Africa gift sets, and trust me, I know, I got 3 of them. And as a message to my parents, I'd like to say I'm now available for adoption. VAR will say, as you can clearly see, where is the clearness here? It's in negative 360p. I can see literal pixels on the screen. There's genuinely better graphics on Minecraft than in this picture. Wilfred Zaha, meantime, was flagged offside for this against Southampton. I don't even know what body part is offside here. There's a line going through his shoulder, but where does the shoulder start? His toe is within the yellow line created by the Southampton player, so surely that's not off either. And then for Norwich, if Timu Pukki had shaved in the morning, he'd have probably been onside. The red and blue lines combine and merge together to make a purple line. Surely, when the lines are combining to make something from year 7 art, it can be given as onside. Whoa, stop there. That might be offside, that goal. All right, safe. Just let me know. Is it off then? Alright, so if I place this line in the field of cosine and then carry the 2, I'm sorry, it just shouldn't be flagged as off if I have to use a geometry kit to decide whether it is or not. Just give the officials protractors and move on. See, I like what Gary Neville said on the topic. He basically said the referees should be going over to the screens like they do in Europe and deciding themselves rather than someone miles away deciding for them. That's his views though, not the views of Sky. Personally, I think if you are going to leave it down to people sitting in a VAR room, they should get the best view of the offside, and if they can't decide with a still image without the use of lines whether it's on or off, then it should just go with the on-field call. VAR was heavily influential in the Liverpool-Wolves game, which ended 1-0 to the league leaders. It was seen in its best format for our goal, which was ruled out originally due to a handball, but it came off the shoulder of Lallana, but then very much seen at its worst for Wolves' equaliser, which, yes, if you're going to start getting lines and protractors out, should be given as offside based on the evidence we have. But we should remember that VAR has margin for error. It can't measure to the nearest millimeter, and what if the ball is kicked in between picture frames? Youngster Neto gave it full beans with his celebration, which sparked an interesting reaction from our fans. Score your first Premier League goal and get called a bellend. It's the eternal cycle of social media. Unfortunately, my tweet about the topic ended up reaching I drink Stella Artois at 11 in the morning Twitter, so I can hereby announce myself as a wet wipe. It'll be interesting if Trent Alexander-Arnold ever does the same thing. I'm sure he'll be lauded as a hero by us Liverpool fans. I'm not saying don't do it, just don't cry when it comes to everyone hating us as they already do. What I will say is though, Neto transformed into one of those inflatable men outside car parks during the celebration. We are at least now about 3 light years clear at the top of the Premier League. So far ahead, in fact, that Virgil van Dijk just needs something else to do to keep himself entertained. And that's partly due to the side we beat in controversial fashion, Wolves, going and beating Manchester City. They were 2-0 down but came back to win the game 3-2 in the 89th minute of the game. I've honestly seen the light. Pep Guardiola is just the Prada Pardew, the Dolce & Gabbana Dean Smith, the Balenciaga Big Sam. It's fair to say the odd City fan got slightly ahead of themselves when they went 2-0 up in this one. Meanwhile, it was a significant day for Sergio Aguero. Having been out for a couple of months, he returned and City made a huge deal of his return to the side, only for him to come off after 11 minutes for Claudio Bravo because of Edison's red card. So it wasn't, you know, everyone talks about Liverpool buying the league through the officials, but Raheem Sterling had about 12 attempts to score a penalty, and it was the cause of some beautiful Wolves shithousery. City talking about keeping their cool when everyone else was losing their heads, and then going on to lose the game having been 2-0 up is, I mean, it's beautiful. I'm being harsh on them. They're bound to lose the game when Wolves have got a steroid-injected incredible Hulk up front. Adama Traore genuinely has more mass in muscle alone than Jupiter. Mendy was just gravitationally pulled away from the ball. On a level though, it's always going to be difficult for City to keep up the momentum they've had for the last 2 seasons. They're massively underperforming and Pep is not doing a great job right now, but I think I've probably been a bit too harsh on them in the past. Every team goes through a bad spell at some stage, and they went on and beat Sheffield United in the league a couple of days later anyway, even with an assist from an actual referee. Elsewhere, Chelsea and Arsenal faced off over the weekend. Arsenal led the game for a lot of it and actually were playing well until a late capitulation saw Chelsea take all 3 points. Leno making a full 3-course meal and buffet platter out of a cross for a free kick didn't help the scenario.
Just dropped back 10 yards, haven't they? Over the last.
You really love to see it. Youngster Tariq Lamptey came on late in the game and provided energy that seemed to go a long way towards them winning the game. However, equally, he also looked like a 12-year-old.
A child. No.
The energy comes from a packet of Tang Fastics, I'm guessing.
Lando is blue.
It really is banter FC when Jorginho is doing up X Factor against you saying that London is blue. Having said that, we could maybe make an exception and actually give Arsenal the win, given it's come out that Kurt Zuma dips jam sandwiches in hot chocolate. Like, what is even wrong with you? Cristiano Ronaldo won the Globe Soccer Awards for being the best male footballer of the year. The slight issue with that is a company in his name literally bought out that award 2 years ago, so the validity could be questioned slightly. Meanwhile, American rapper Young Thug and Norwich midfielder Todd Cantwell has to be the strangest collaboration of the year so far. I'm expecting a full-length project in 2020. Jose Mourinho was asked about his festive period in an interview on Amazon Prime. He turned around and said it wasn't great because his dog died. Which, I mean, Merry Christmas! I do feel for Jose and his family. That's obviously an awful thing to happen. I feel for the interviewer as well, because that must have been extremely awkward. I can only imagine the scenes in the Mourinho household on Christmas Day. Birmingham City did a memorial for fans who have passed away during the course of this year, but they probably should have name-checked better than they actually did. Meanwhile, this celebration, having scored a penalty, may well be one of the greatest housing moments I've actually seen in this series. Therefore, it makes sense. It's a housery award of astronomical proportions. Right, well, that's a handball for a start. David Moyes is back in management, and specifically, he's back at West Ham. They've sacked Pellegrini and brought back the former manager. I don't know what everyone's complaining about. Like, what could possibly go wrong? On a level, if his management is anything like his Spanish, then the Hammers could be in some serious issues.
They have been training with me. Dos, tres, cuatro times.
A statue of Zlatan Ibrahimovic in Sweden has been defaced, and now he looks like he's about to go off and slap up Harry Potter. Meanwhile, over in France, goal line technology was completely sacked off between Nice and Toulouse because rats ate through some vital electrical cables that made it completely useless. Uber Eats League On. More like rats eat League On, because they're eating like... Now though it is time for Still 0-0. You guys know what's going on now. This is the segment where I bring you the best of Sunday League football over the course of the week. We got 2 stories this time to make up for the fact there wasn't an FTW last week. Firstly, in the world-renowned Abingdon derby between Abingdon United and Abingdon Town. With the scoreline at 8-0 at half-time in favour of United, Abingdon Town just decided to go home. The game was abandoned because they just sacked off the second half. You know what? I rate it. Get home home in time for the evening television. Then secondly, Jersey Bulls won a 20th game in a row. However, their game at the weekend had to be delayed by an hour because they were delayed in traffic, and they were running so late in comparison to the new delayed deadline that they had to run from a main road in their full kit to the pitch and just play without a team talk or without any sort of warm-up beforehand. If that doesn't sum up Sunday League, then what is going to? Brazilian forward Hulk broke up with his wife of 12 years in 2019. Turns out he's now dating his ex-wife's niece, which technically means he's dating his child's cousin. Listen, Brazil, you've got a lot to answer for, alright? First, Neymar. He's not gonna, listen, he's not gonna notice if I just keep moving it, you get me? He's not gonna... Over in Argentina, Diego Maradona has claimed that he was abducted by a UFO and that he lost his virginity at the age of 13 to an older woman whilst she was reading a newspaper. Now, the second half of that is something that's pretty wild, but if it gets his gears going, then who am I to judge? But I can't lie, the thought of an alien abducting Diego Maradona is extremely amusing to me. He was just kind of lying there, so I just thought we might as well abduct him, do you get what I mean? Yeah, nah, man, that's calm. What do you want to do with him now? We could just probe him if you want. Yeah, man, sure, why not? What's that white powder in his nose, though? And finally, on a tear-jerking note, Juanmi Callejon, or Jose Callejon's brother, played his final game for Bolivian side Bolivar over the course of the last week. One young fan was so upset at the fact that he was leaving, he literally went up to him in tears, hugged him, and begged him not to leave. Juanmi, in return, gave him his last ever match-worn shirt for the club and left the kid in tears. Listen, I'm not crying, alright? There was a leak from the ceiling and it just landed in my eye. But that is gonna wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.